Hey, I'm Matthew Wigger from McDonald Partners, and I'm here with Marcus, who's the sales assistant at McDonald Partners. How you going, Marcus?
Good, Matt. How are you? How's the
Really,
office?
really well, thanks. Really well. Um, Marcus, obviously in your role, you work primarily with a lot of first home buyers or first time movers. So working in that age bracket, which is sort of that 20 to 30, what's your feel on how are they reacting to what's going on in the market at the moment?
Obviously, some are being a bit conservative because there really is no textbook answer on what's currently happening because I don't think anyone's really experienced
Mhm.
buying in the middle of a pandemic. Um, a lot of people have, like a lot of the first home buyers or like entering the market have been saying, when's the best time to buy? And I'm going, well, there really is no best time to buy. And a lot of buyers are saying to me that they want to buy at the bottom of the market, but the only way you're going to know if you've bought at the bottom is when prices start shooting up.
Yeah. Well, I suppose it's like the old saying goes, no one rings a bell at the top and no one rings a bell at the bottom, unfortunately. And by the time you know that the market's hit the bottom, it's already on the way back up and you're sort of competing with the rest of the crowd by that point. So it's a bit too late.
Right,
So
exactly. If people were ringing the bell at the bottom or the top, it would make our jobs a whole lot easier.
yeah. So I suppose with that younger age bracket, then that 20 to 30 that you primarily work with, do they
Mhm.
still have confidence in the market to buy and should they have confidence in the market to buy?
Well, if anything, I've actually found that some of the strongest buyers I'm currently working with are the first home buyers or first home sellers, mainly because there's so many like government incentives to buy. Like I'm not denying the market has obviously changed from say 4 weeks ago,
Yeah.
but you've got from the first home buyers point. I think they're all seeing this as a great opportunity, mainly because you've got your government first home buyer scheme. Um, you've got less buyer competition, and they're seeing that great, especially the ones who were looking 4 weeks ago, who are now still looking. Where 4 weeks ago they'd be up against multiple people. So
Yeah.
now you'd be not be able to see anything at the open house. There'd be 40 people in there. So now, even though we're back to private inspections, they get a better view of the property. You get to really get to know your client being the buyer. The buyer gets to, ask questions without, any repercussions of other people hearing and all of that. So in that instance, I think it's beneficial for them. And a lot of them are seeing it. It's a great opportunity.
Yeah, and I suppose a lot of the younger buyers aren't used to this. They've grown up in a world where technology has always made things available to them. So they haven't known real estate without photos and videos and floor plans. When really 20 years ago, what we're doing now was the norm back then. With as
Yeah.
far as private inspections and one-on-ones and everything like that. So yes, these days it's a little bit high tech, and now we get to have that little bit more high touch. But I mean, Gen Ys and Gen Zs and millennials, and as we go on through to those younger generations, they're embracing this technology and they love it to a certain extent because it takes away a lot
Oh,
of that looking side with an agent. And they can come to us, and I suppose it's good for us as well because they come as a bit more qualified buyers.
100%.
Yeah. So,
Like,
what advice then could you give to young people in that 20 to 30 age bracket that you're primarily working with? What advice do you give them if they're considering a purchase?
okay, well, I have been giving some advice to buyers. Like, some of the buyers I've been working with don't live in the area. So it's not just specific to the Sutherland Shire of our market, what we're currently working in. It's specific pretty much to anyone who is looking to buy, whether you are a first home buyer or you're moving into a new area down the track. I've been telling them you're better off renting for say 6 months to sort of try, like a try before you buy,
Yep.
because there'd be nothing worse than you buy a property in an area you're not familiar with, then 6 months down the track you're thinking, oh, this isn't for me, and that's going to be an expensive mistake to fix.
Well, yeah, and statistically speaking, Gen X and Gen Y do tend to change their mind quite a bit throughout their life. We're talking about
Yeah.
job and career changes are quite common for them. So you'd think with property it would be a similar thing. And one example I'll use in the Sutherland Shire, I suppose we have is Cronulla. A lot of young people are sort of drawn to that lifestyle of living close to the beach and that sort of nightlife when and if it comes back.
Yeah.
But the thing with that is, if you're purchasing property, there is a higher price associated with living in those areas as opposed to somewhere a bit further down or further away from the beach, where you might get better value for money, particularly for your first purchase. So I suppose what you're saying is, by renting, they can have, like you said, that try before they buy and see, okay, do we actually want to spend that little bit extra, or do we actually want to get less value for money in somewhere like this, when really, if this property is going to last us 5 to 10 years and we're looking at children and stuff like that, are we better off having a bigger property somewhere else?
Yeah, exactly.
So, and I suppose when buyers
that's the thing as well, like with buyers, like the main thing, and like another piece of advice, speak to a lender. You want to know how much you're shopping with, like that always helps. And probably my best piece of advice, speak to an agent. Like, they usually have off-market properties, meaning you can see them before they go onto the big websites. So it's like a VIP buyer list. So it's a win-win for everyone.
Yeah, and obviously that's right for first-home buyers. I mean, as soon as someone thinks in their head, we might want to purchase property, I think your first port of call is saying, okay, do we have the funds available to do that? So let's go see a mortgage broker and say, okay, do we have a deposit that we need? Are we eligible for any sort of first-home buyer schemes? And at the end of all that, can we borrow the money, and can we afford to pay this back? And obviously the broker has to factor in, can we afford to pay this back if something else happens, like when we're talking about younger people, babies and marriage, or even sickness. So that all needs to be factored in first of all, because a property is probably one of the biggest financial decisions you'll make. And then they've got to seek professional advice from conveyancers, and I suppose the like you said, a good port of call is a real estate agent, because if nothing else, they can liaise you to other sort of people in those positions. Obviously, we can't give financial advice, but we can point you in the right direction of someone good in the area that can.
That's right.
Yeah. So, and coming back to that, real estate agents and their involvement with first-home buyers, a lot of them probably, I suppose the ones you come across, would have a bit of a prejudice towards real estate agents. And
always.
Yeah. And what they sort of think real estate agents do, and who real estate agents are working for. But I suppose the thing is, your role, you're employed basically to work with buyers as a sales assistant, and you sort of do things in a little bit in reverse. Like for a traditional real estate agent, they work with the vendor and the property, and they're trying to find buyers. They're working with buyers. You're doing it sort of in reverse. So just explain that to us.
So, well, a majority of my job involves mainly buyer management. So pretty much I offer a free service where I like to get in touch with the buyer, or a buyer gets in touch with me through referral, or, say this video. And I like to sit down with them and find out what it is and isn't they want in a property.
Yeah.
Then I'll go and do like a buyer search for them, or a property search. So try to find them a suitable property. And if they are, it's usually off market. It's either my stock, my competitor's stock, someone in our office. Like, it's just easier. And it's just that extra bit of real estate advice for free.
Yeah. So you're sort of finding the property for the buyers rather than finding the buyer for the property.
Correct.
Yeah.
So, it's sort of like a buyer's agent, but, it's a free service. It's part of our job. We're licensed to do it. And I don't know why a lot more people don't do it.
Yeah, well, I suppose it all comes back to buyer management and making sure that you're helping your clients the best way you can. And good on you for doing that and helping buyers, because particularly first home buyers who, for the most part, really do need their hand held, because, I mean, you can have access to all the technology and all the information through the internet, but really, when it comes to making a big purchase like this, you do need help from people.
Exactly. It's not something you want to be doing alone, especially if you've never done it before.
No. One thing we see, Marcus, in the industry quite a bit is younger people, talking about hand-holding and stuff like that, tend to take a lot of advice from particularly parents, but maybe well-meaning friends. And that sort of advice although it always comes with a good intention, sometimes we've found it's not particularly the best thing for that client. Is that right?
Yeah, well, like, look, I understand what, say the parents or the good friends are doing. They just want the best for their friends and family. But often what I've found is that, just say first home buyers, actually, let's just say any buyer, they've seen the market probably, I'd say, better than the real estate agents. They've been through all the properties in the area. Yep. So that might be, 20, 30 properties. And by the time they come to the right one and say, this is it, mum and dad or best mate, come have a look at it and let me know what you think about it. And they'll go in it and go, no, bedrooms are too small.
Yeah.
It's an old block. Don't like it.
Yeah.
And they haven't been through it.
Yeah, particularly when it comes to pricing as well, you'll find parents will often relate, their children may be looking at a 2-bedroom unit that's in that $600,000 bracket, and they're thinking back to, oh my God, we bought our property in 1970 for $40,000, and they can't comprehend that because they haven't been involved in real estate transactions since that transaction. And like you said, they haven't been involved in the market, so they don't know what to compare it to. So they're comparing it to things either they own or they've seen on TV or something like that, but they're not actually being able to compare it to other things. So I suppose the advice to young people there is, take the advice by all means, but remember that this is your purchase and you need to be happy with it as well.
Yeah, exactly. Like at the end of the day, your parents and your friends, they just want the best for you. And we're not trying to say that they don't.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Marcus, thanks for chatting with me today. And obviously your services are still available. I mean, you're at home at the moment, but you're definitely still working and you're available to buyers all the time. So
Still available.
How can they get in touch with you?
Facebook, Instagram, my mobile number. I'm pretty much available on everything and anything, even TikTok if you want to get me on that. But, I'm available, more than happy to help. Again, it's a free service and it's a no-brainer.
Excellent. Sounds good. Look forward to your TikTok dances, Mark.
Easy.
See ya.
Thanks, Matt.
Bye.